Namaskar to everyone.
Thank you.
See, when I would want each one of us start with questioning ourselves on two things. The first being, how important are emotions in our life? And second, equally important one would be, should we necessarily be conscious of what their potential impact in our day-to-day life, etc. We will talk about it. Today's session will be more oriented to just introducing, trying to understand what this is, what are all the components that go into it, what are all the scenarios that trigger these, and we will stop there. We will not go into the equations per se today. Today is just the foundation. And following this will be the meditation that Sneha will take us through that journey. In this journey, I would want each one of us to revisit. I'm sure people would have done the exercises that they were supposed to do in week 2 and that in week 4. If they have not done, in order to benefit, they need to probably take up one single area of what they were requested to do. So having said that, let us first start with, is this how I start my day? Start with happiness, start with satisfaction, or let us say I start my day under duress. I've had a wonderful Sunday evening. I'm going into Monday. First thought, oh my God, I need to go to the office. I need to face all the people who are helping me get frustrated. Or alternatively, hey, thank God, the weekend is over. I'm ready to go. I could be in either one of these mental frame. You need to understand which one, how. Suppose somebody has got up late, is getting late at every stage. All he starts observing is his attention gets completely occupied by, oh my God, this traffic is against me, people at home are against me, I don't know how my day is going to be today. And then let's say he reaches his office. This is what happens in his office. He meets people, they start finding fault at everything. So now he has increased his state of being to something he started on a weak footing. He has spoiled it further. And then he start his other part of the day that we saw, where he is releasing all emotions that are causing problem to him. We have seen this, so I'm not going to talk too much. Likewise, he also goes through this. If this is his mental frame of mind, right, this becomes the driving force. He needs to understand what is where coming from. Or it could also be, despair is equal to suffering, is equal to meaning. They have a role to play. How do I manage this? That is what this entire 6 weeks of journey with emotions is going to be. Now, Let me start with what is important. You remember we had chosen some dimensions of life in what you call the week 4 of the wellness program 1. So we need to identify those. They have a role to play because that is what we feel is important from us as individuals. If those are available to us, we will feel well, we will feel happy, we will feel complete, right? So our objective is to reach there. And if we are to reach there, what is it that we require? We need to understand what is it that constitutes an emotion. It is our feelings, the response of our body to the thought and feeling, the various thoughts, the neurocircuits that we fire, and based on all this, how do we behave? Now, there is no fixed sequence in which one triggers what, but eventually the outcome doesn't change. This is more like the physical chemistry equation which says Hess's law of heat summation. Or it is like the generic, in literature we keep hearing, right? It says all roads lead to Rome. That is what this one is. Which one triggers what? Doesn't matter. There is an emotion, and that emotion leads us to trying to understand what is this importance? How does it reflect? How does it happen? In order to get to the depth of it, right, I have chosen 3 important frameworks in our life, which are very essential for us to understand and see how we could exploit those for our benefit. Some we have spoken of, some may sound new, but this will not be going into the depth of those. However, only focusing on what is important. Right? We learnt about chakras. We have heard about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. There is the Erickson model of human development. These 3 components together is what our sessions are going to focus on. How do we exploit this? Right? So having said that, let us start going into the depth of each of them at a high level, of course. So when we, right from infancy to maturity, that is old age, right, we pass through various stages. When we did the exercise in week 2, we took from 0 to 7, 7 to 14, and came up to 35 because 35 defines us as a personality. But if we go through the entire life cycle till our old age, right, there is an observation here that the learning, changing paradigm are 2 components, and at each stage, one or the other forms or takes importance. For example, let us say after we are 35, right? After we are 35, right? We start encountering challenges of growth. We start encountering challenges of relationships. We start encountering challenges of, let us say, stagnation. We don't see any growth in our, let's say, the work environment. Then situation pressures, right, ask us to see whether we are going to follow despair. Do we feel hopeless, or we are able to put ourselves together, keep our integrity protected, or do we end up compromising just because we are pushed into the survival? And then what happens to us? We start living in anxiety when we start getting into the old age. These are all our unavoidable phases. We need to be aware of them, and we also need to understand how we can address them, right? There is a small movie, maybe about 6 minutes or so, which I think we should go through.
and learn. Erikson's theory of psychosocial development identifies 8 stages which a healthy individual should pass through from birth to death. At each stage, we encounter different needs, ask new questions, and meet people who influence our behavior and learning. Stage 1. Basic trust versus mistrust. As infants, we ask ourselves if we can trust the world, and we wonder if it's safe. We learn that if we can trust someone now, we can also trust others in the future. If we experience fear, we develop doubt and mistrust. The key to our development is our mother. Stage 2. Autonomy versus shame and doubt. In our early childhood, we experience ourselves and discover our body. We ask, is it okay to be me? If we are allowed to discover ourselves, then we develop self-confidence. If we are not, we can develop shame and self-doubt. Both parents now play a major role. Stage 3. Initiative versus guilt. In preschool, we take initiative, try out new things, and learn basic principles like how round things roll. We ask, is it okay for me to do what I do? If we are encouraged, we can follow our interests. If we are held back or told that what we do is silly, we can develop guilt. We are now learning from the entire family. Stage 4. Industry versus inferiority. Now we discover our own interests and realize that we are different from others. We want to show that we can do things right. We ask if we can make it in this world. If we receive recognition from our teachers or peers, we become industrious, which is another word for hard-working. If we get too much negative feedback, we start to feel inferior and lose motivation. Our neighbors and schools now influence us the most. Stage 5. Identity versus role confusion. During adolescence, we learn that we have different social roles. We are friends, students, children, and citizens. Many experience an identity crisis. If our parents now allow us to go out and explore, we can find identity. If they push us to conform to their views, we can face role confusion and feel lost. Key to our learning are our peers and role models. Stage 6. Intimacy versus isolation. As young adults, we slowly understand who we are, and we start to let go of the relationships we had built earlier in order to fit in. We ask ourselves if we can love. If we can make a long-term commitment, we are confident and happy. If we cannot form intimate relationships, we might end up feeling isolated and lonely. Our friends and partners are now central to our development. Stage 7. Generativity versus stagnation. When we reach our 40s, we become comfortable, use our leisure time creatively, and maybe begin contributing to society. Our concern is generativity. If we think that we are able to lead the next generation into this world, we are happy. If we did not resolve some conflicts earlier, we can become pessimistic and experience stagnation. People at home and at work are now who influences the most. Stage 8. Ego integrity versus despair. As we grow older, we tend to slow down and begin to look back over our lives. We ask, how have I done? If we think we did well, we develop feelings of contentment and integrity. If not, we can experience despair and become grumpy and bitter. Time to compare us with mankind.
Right? So, those are some of the things that influence what we remember, what we experience, what we take back, and which may start manifesting in our day-to-day life. Right? So, going further, we have the second model, which is known as the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Right? So, we are talking about, we have got physiological needs, we have got the safety needs. If we are not able to put these two together, then probably we may never experience those that are above them. Likewise, once we have come to a stage where we are comfortably settled, we have met our basic needs, which could otherwise take us into a different role of behavior. We are now ready to get into the mode of creativity. Till then, we are always living in what we would call the survival mode. And we all know what happens to us in the survival mode if we don't manage the survival stages effectively. Now, there is a huge relationship between chakras, we know, which is nothing but energy flow, and the Maslow's theory, as well as the development of human beings. We will be touching upon those as we go, but our needs actually fall into two categories. One is the one that is based on deficiency, lack, want, and we should always be one stage above them. This is the survival stage, wherein we have got our physiological needs, our safety needs. We need to feel that we are part. We have got the emotional needs. Then we have got the self-respect, the self-ego, not the ill-placed ego. I'm talking about the well-placed ego. Then there is the learning that keeps happening in our life. All these are very important. Only after we are empowered with all these can we start thinking about growth, which is our societal needs, our aesthetic, our value system, and so on and so forth. And then our self-actualization. When we say self-actualization, it is basically that we start moving ahead of the spiritual wants because they are already accomplished. The materialistic wants in our life, and we are progressing towards the spiritual needs in our life. So we will go through how those are. But what these three theories in common give us inputs in terms of what we can take away from them happens to be, if I talk chakras, we are talking about functionality of the specific physical and mental aspects. That is what the chakras, the energies, are energy centers influence us with. Whereas the Maslow's and the Erickson's theory helps us to talk in terms of the behavioral and mental impact of the physiological needs and security needs, which is more from the body perspective. So having proper understanding of the three of these is going to be very critical. So if we are to look at our typical day in the formative years, we have got tough times in our life. We have got identity parameters in our life. We have got our work environment. We have more to do. I would say I've called it work environment. It could be the societal influences also, and also defining what is happiness for us. The clarity of those elements plays a very critical role. I have a movie, but I don't know how we are doing on time. Can I play the movie, Ashok? We have time? Sure.
How long is the movie, sir?
This is, I think, 4 minutes or so.
Oh, you have, sir. Yeah, please.
I decided to write emotional equations partly because I was going through a very difficult time. A lot of us in this downturn have had our emotions tested. And for many of us, our emotions are sort of like this mystery. We talk about our emotions getting the best of us as if it's some evil twin that inhabits our body and takes over us. And what I was looking for as just as a human being, but also as the CEO of a company that was struggling, was how could I understand my emotions a little bit better so my emotions could represent the best in me as opposed to have my emotions get the best of me. And so I started using emotional equations as my way of getting through a very difficult time. Math is really about relationships. And in normal math, it's the relationship of numbers. In emotional equations, it's the relationship of emotions. Here's how emotional equations work. First of all, there are like emotional building blocks. There's two components usually associated with an emotional equation, and there's a plus, minus, divide, or times attached. Let me use one as an example. There are really two components in our lives that lead to us to feeling anxiety. It's what you don't know and what you can't control. So anxiety equals uncertainty times powerlessness. So what does that mean? How do you use that? Well, if you know that what you don't know, or uncertainty, is a component of anxiety, the thing to focus on is what do you know? Because quite often when we get really obsessed with what we don't know, the mystery of it all, we're missing the fact that there's some things that we do know. And then on the powerlessness side, what we can't control, the thing to ask yourself is, what can you influence? As opposed to what is it that you feel like is outside of your control. Because anxiety gets reduced when you realize that there's certain things that you do know and certain things that you can influence. So the reason that emotional equations will help a reader or someone who actually is digesting the book is, first of all, it's going to help you be a little more emotionally literate and aware of what's going on inside of yourself. To actually be emotionally fluent such that you can be able to articulate, I'm feeling jealous right now. And instead of acting out jealousy and it comes in all kinds of other forms, you can say, I guess I'm feeling jealous right now. And you can know that, gosh, there's a couple components that lead to jealousy, and maybe I should do a deeper dive as to understanding why I have a level of mistrust here, or where my self-esteem might be a little bit at risk right now. So once you understand the components that make up disappointment or happiness, or wisdom or authenticity, you're able to put in time and energy, in essence, invest in that emotion and help that emotion work for you as opposed to against you.
Right. So if we are able to get to the depth of what is it, given a situation, my reaction to it, my response to it, then I think once we are aware of that, we get the clarity of how we are going to overcome it. And that happens to be the guiding force of it. So now, what is an emotion? Emotion is the language of the body. Just as thought is the language of the mind, emotion is the language of the mind, of the body, and that is also the connection between us and others. That is how we connect with the universe. Right? Now, emotions is the part and parcel or an integral part of the experience that we undergo, the lessons that we learn. So being aware of the lesson is as important as the experience, as important as the emotion that it creates. So we have now identified three components. Emotion is equal to, starts with the thought. Emotion defines my connection with everyone. Emotion is part of my experience. So I have got three components, right? And under the guise of these three windows is my behavior. Then emotion is the way that I have what I call my Manipuraka chakra, the sacral chakra, right? In that chakra, I have the power. I can influence myself. I can exert that pressure on myself or on others, the power that I carry. I can keep my health under control or damage it. I have the capability. But again, it is the emotion that is going to help me move forward along those lines. So if that is the case, right, how and what should I know about the energy and the emotion? The emotion is the way we think, the way we feel, and it is part of our body-mind ecosystem. So these are all the pointers that we will go through when we get into the analysis of the various situations. Then, now by enacting, by reproducing that, right, there are a couple of things which are of importance when it comes to an emotion. Emotion, we should not resist. We should respond. When we are responding, it becomes whatever we are doing while we are in meditation. When we are in meditation, we are talking about sitting in a comfortable posture and taking the role of an observer. Same thing should be there. Instead of us resisting and letting emotion define us, we are actually taking help and saying, oh, now I'm going to become angry. I can see my anger go through me, but I'm not going to give any energy to it. Right? That is probably the best way of managing the emotion when it hits us. Right? So this is another lesson that we need to be aware. It's difficult. Even after so many years of practice, it's difficult even for me. So I'm sure this is going to impact every one of us. As long as we are aware, it is more like damage control. So there is a relationship. I'm not going to touch too much about on this point because the maths of equation, none other than the author himself has explained how we are supposed to use it and how we are supposed to manage our lives. So with this, today's session in terms of what is important as far as emotions go is what we have come to, identifying what it is. We will see how we are going to use this and get to where we want in the coming weeks. Thank you so much. Over to you, Sneha. I'm done with my bit.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for sharing all about emotions. Namaste, masters. As we understand the role that emotions play in our life in shaping our reality, we dedicate today's meditation to understanding what our emotions really are. Today's meditation, we take time and listen to what our emotions are conveying to us. Then and only then can we will be able to understand the equations that these emotions create in our life. The equation that sir has been sharing about emotion, the thought, and how it impacts us. So to understand and fit that emotion, we have to listen first to our emotions. That is what we are going to do in our today's meditation. So I would now request you all to please relax, take a comfortable posture, and let's listen to our emotions. For those of the masters who are joining us for the very first time in meditation, follow the instructions and you'll be able to get into deep meditative state. For any noise that you'll be listening, or for the background music that is going to be played, both will be a reminder for you to be attentive of your breathing and connect to your deeper states. So let's begin, masters. How is it that you are feeling? Tensed, scattered, struggling to find balance. Well, we don't have to list the ways we are struggling to cope with an unprecedented year. Our emotions can hold us hostage when their stormy winds of intensity and disharmony blow through the body. For example, when you're angry, when you are stressed, your belly can tighten, your heart might pound, and agitating thoughts can plague you for minutes or for hours or even days. This is because emotions, be they angry, peaceful, anxious, sad, or happy, activate your nervous system to release chemicals into your bloodstream that can pull your focus and energy away from other matters. When emotions are that strong, we may be tempted to label them the enemy. But refusing to accept how you feel only postpones the inevitable. Every emotion you deny will always return, trying to convey important information. This, my dear friends and masters, is where meditation can help. Can help by teaching us to observe, identify, and respond instead of just reacting. Meditation can create the mindfulness you need to welcome and experience your emotions, helping you recognize that they are not the enemy, but rather quite the opposite. Emotions, just like you, want to be seen, heard, felt, and connected with. They want your attention so they can help you stop and access the information you need to not just survive, but to thrive. Through today's meditation, let's focus on welcoming the emotions you are feeling. Once you connect with that emotion, we will start to introduce focusing on the opposite of those emotions. For example, a feeling of peace when you are angry, a feeling of happiness if you feel sad, this, my dear friends and masters, is a surprising way to connect to your emotion and help you shift from being stuck in negative to recognizing more positive and constructive responses. In these initial moments of meditation, reflect on the exercises we did earlier and the emotions that you identified in the due course. Taking a comfortable posture, seated either on a chair or on the floor, with your legs comfortably crossed, your back straight, your palms clasped fingers into fingers, and your eyes gently closed. In this relaxed state, as you connect with your breathing, welcome the environment and sounds around you. Feel the air on your skin, sensations where your body touches the surface that's supporting it. Become one with the environment and the condition around you. Feel it all. Relax each and every part of your body. Starting from your toes, Feel the relaxation moving up. Relaxing your legs and every muscle of your legs. Relax every muscle, every part of your back. Your lower abdomen, upper abdomen. Feel the relaxation flowing up. Relax your chest and upper body. Feel the relaxation in your shoulders, in your arms and your fingers. Relax your neck. Feel the relaxation in every facial muscle. And feel the relaxation in the top of your head. Each and every muscle of your body is now relaxed. In this relaxed state, let's now proactively welcome the emotion that overpowers us. Notice where and how you feel this emotion, and describe the sensations that best represent this emotion. Do not rush into the process. Take your time. Find the emotion revealing itself in front of you, as if this emotion is walking in through a door. Trust the impressions that you are receiving, and go with the very first image that arises. Trust the impressions that you are receiving and go with the very first image that arises. What does your emotion look like? What is its shape, form, and size? Take a few moments and welcome the shape and form your emotion takes. As this emotion of yours takes a shape and reveals itself in front of you, ask it, what do you want? Be attentive, my dear friends and masters, and listen to what it has to say. Ask it, what do you need? Your emotion is there, revealing itself in front of you. Be attentive and listen. Ask it, what action are you asking me to take in my life? Be attentive and listen to what it has to say. Take a few moments to reflect on what you are experiencing, what you are listening, what are the impressions that you are receiving in your body and mind. whatever emotion is it that you felt, which you connected with. Now is the time to invite an opposite emotion. If helpful, recall a memory that invites this opposite emotion. Like the time you were on vacation and felt nothing but serenity. Move back and forth between these opposites, sensing and acknowledging how each emotion impacts your body and your mind. My dear friends and masters, now that you experienced both the emotions, it's time to take a deep breath and relax. Be aware of the presence of positivity and peace all around you. Emotions, my dear friends and masters, are connected with different situations and different people in our lives. Let us now take our time to extend our gratitude. Gratitude towards everything and everyone who play an integral part, an important role in our lives. Thank your parents for their contribution in shaping your life. Extend your gratitude and thank your grandparents for being a source of unconditional love. Thank your brothers and sisters for being with you throughout your life. Thank your friends for their constant support and understanding. Thank your spouse for being there with you always. Thank the children in your life for the love and affection they bring, for the smile they bring. Thank everyone in your life who shared their wisdom with you. Extend your gratitude towards the farmers, the soldiers, to the health professionals, security professionals, and all the people who you can think of, for they have unconditionally helped nourish you and protect you. Just be present in this moment and feel connected with this wonderful energy of gratitude. Have a deep sense of gratitude towards the love and peace that you are experiencing. Gratitude towards the emotion that revealed itself in front of you. Gratitude towards meditation that helps us visit the deepest corners of ourselves. With this, let us now bring our awareness back to our physical form. Slowly bring your awareness onto your palms. Rub your palms together and gently place them over your eyes. Slowly open your eyes on the count of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Whenever you feel ready, you are now free to remove your palms and welcome back. Thank you, Masters. Whenever you feel ready, you can go ahead and share your experience or ask any question or query that you have.
Yes, Neha.
Thank you, sir.
Masters, please come forward and raise your questions or concerns or whatever you have. Anything that you wanted to ask Chandra sir. Okay, it seems that none of them has any questions.